It's going to be a book about communication styles, colors. It's going to be called Surrounded by Idiots. This is the cover design. And they looked at me with horror in their eyes and they basically said, it's a stupid idea. Forget about it. Scrap the whole thing. It's the worst thing you ever come up with. You're a thriller writer. Do that. No one's going to want it's a stupid title. It's an ugly cover. Just scrap the whole thing. So I was shopping around in all the publishing houses in little Sweden. They basically all said the same thing. You're the idiot. So there you go. Now, it's a provocative title. I understand that. But then I like it. I like it. It's my brand now.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Light It Up podcast. If you're new to this channel and you want to know everything there is about making money in real estate, selling, sales skills, building your business, or investing, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know what makes our great guests so successful.
Let's talk about adding leverage. So we've been getting a lot of calls of people asking us how we've hired virtual assistants to scale and leverage our business. So we've opened up our playbook to all of you. If you're looking to add leverage in your business, whether it's administrative support, ISA, outbound callers, go to addleverage.com and they'll be there to help you staffing your team.
Do it in a smart way, obviously, but you're smart. You can do that. I can see that in your faces. You're smart guys.
Thank you.
And everyone who's listening is also very smart.
How did you come up with the title of the book?
Oh, that's a story in itself. Well, it's not very exclusive. The thought I'm surrounded by idiots. I can't take credit for finding the phrase itself. But I had a customer many years ago, a client, Swedish entrepreneur, and he was analytical driver at the same time, very task-oriented, very unfriendly to say the least. I don't think he liked his staff at all, and they didn't like him either. So he was struggling, and he told me all the time, every meeting, I'm surrounded by idiots, I'm surrounded by idiots. And then after a while, I said to him, I'm going to write a book about the four colors or the profiling as we are talking about. I'm going to call it Surrounded by Idiots, because it's a phrase people are going to recognize and say, "Ha well, that's me. I got you." Yeah. Surrounded by idiots, and I designed the front cover myself. It's my own design. It's not. I think I have it here. It's not very beautiful, and I know that. It's very simple, really. So I designed this myself, and I went to my then publisher because I was a published crime author before, actually.
I didn't know that.
Nobody bought the crime novels. Don't ask any questions, please.
Okay.
It's a pain in my career. But so I went to my then publisher because I have a foot in here. They know me. I'm going to sell this to them. It's going to be a book about communication styles, colors. It's going to be called Surrounded by Idiots. This is the cover design. And they looked at me with horror in their eyes and they basically said, it's a stupid idea. Forget about it. Scrap the whole thing. It's the worst thing you ever come up with. You're a thriller writer. Do that. No one's going to want it's a stupid title. It's an ugly cover. Just scrap the whole thing. So I was shopping around in all the publishing houses in little Sweden. We didn't have so many at the time. They basically all said the same thing. You're the idiot. So there you go.
Now they're the idiots.
Yeah. Now I'm a genius, but that's probably more of a coincidence, I think. It's a provocative title. I understand that, but then I like it. I like it. It's my brand now.
Yeah. I love that title.
I know I've certainly referred the book to a lot of different people, but a lot of people do have that same response. Well, what is it called? But it sticks with you.
Yeah. It's important to know the importance of being able to communicate with these people or to different personality styles. Like, for instance, for me, I might be a little too versatile, but my under stress is analytical, but then my natural personality is amiable. Now, adapting with dominant people is a struggle because then I go into an analytical nature. So that's something that I'm self-aware of, that I'm always kind of working towards. But the other struggle too is whenever you're dealing with a husband and a wife or a couple, they're usually opposite personality styles. So like you'll deal with an analytical and expressive or an inspiring personality type, and now you have to adapt to both. But if the decision maker doesn't like you, then the decision doesn't sway your way. Do you have anything that you can advise or share on that?
Well, that's a common challenge when you are selling to two people and they are very, very different. I would go with question techniques again. I will actually ask them, are you agreeing on what you're looking for? Do you know together, if I ask you to describe your dream home, let's call it, would you say the same thing? And then I will, in front of them, ask the wife first and say, okay, what's your sort of USPs here? And then I would ask the husband, or if it's the wife also, because we are living in 2024. I will ask both partners, what's your sort of, what's your take on this? What do you value the most? Does any one of you want to hear the details? Would you like me to go through the prospect? Would you like me to go through the whole paperwork before, or would you see some calculus about this or that? Would you like to talk about interest rates? If they both say, no, not really, okay, fine. If one says, that would be highly interesting for me, and the other one looks like she swallowed the, I don't know what, but there are no rules here. You can only do the best you can. The worst thing is if you're aiming for the wrong person, you think it's him when it's actually her, or the other way around, obviously. So you have to dress them both. I've been in boardrooms selling to 20 people at the same time, probably with 10 different personality styles, different combinations. So you have to have a broad perspective all the time. You have to have a spectrum, have a whole plethora of sort of arguments with you. And usually you can't go with the person that you think is a decision maker, because you have people who are influencers also. And of course, both has to agree on this. I was trying to sell a house last year, a private house, and the husband was he had the driving factor. He was really, let's do this, let's, I like it, let's do it. Don't ask any questions. She was the opposite, green or amiable or stable. So she was sort of looking for problems, and I don't know if I can live here, and where are all my friends? They're so far away. And he said, you knew that when you came here. I said, yeah, well, had you thought it through, Are you two married? So I couldn't crack the code, because he had made his mind up that she was too slow for him. So he just lost it and said, no, I'm out of here. I couldn't resonate with any of them, because he sort of pushed the brakes all the time. That can happen. Yeah, it can happen.
Sure.
But if you don't even try, it's going to be even worse.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to try to sort of
calibrate
connect with as many people as possible. In your case, KIRO, if you are in my world, that would be green and blue, analytical and amiable.
Yep.
Some people call it conscientious and stable. It's the same thing. Mostly an introvert style, right? So if you meet a dominant person and you go to the analytical corner, it's better than go into the amiable corner, probably. But still, the risk you take is that you slow the process down too much, because these people are impatient. As you know, they are super impatient. The good news is it's not so many of them out there. They are in minority, because statistically speaking, I would say less than 10% of the population in the industrialized world has this as the strongest factor.
Really? I didn't know that.
So I think you're going to do okay. But when you meet them, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
You don't miss them.
I like that you shared that. So one of the things that's interesting about analyticals specifically is I know that with an analytical, when it comes to making a decision, if you push too hard, the natural reaction is for them to withdraw, because they don't react well under pressure. For amiables, I know that they will ghost you because they want to avoid confrontation at all costs. But for dominant and for inspiring or expressive, what are those cons that you should watch out for?
And when it comes to the expressive ones, they are in a way the hardest ones to deal with, because they are like a soap in a bathtub, you just can't get a grip on it, because they are all
always
over
busy,
the place all the time. They have 3 houses to look at the same day, and they've confused them with they don't remember what street was that with a high ceiling, they had the garage. No, that's not, they don't take notes, they don't remember anything. They think they have it down, but they don't. And they never call back because they dropped your number somewhere on a note in a car they don't own anymore. That's usually the problem. They are sort of,
all over the place.
Literally all over the place, and very lovely and very charming and very, very positive and friendly and all of that. But they can't find their papers. It's a problem. They never change either. Their way of, I would say they could actually ghost you too, because if you push them too hard, they're going to be annoyed. But they are not as straightforward as the dominant ones. They will tell you to shut up. Don't call me here, and I won't call you there. End of story. That's the easiest way. They will give you an answer, the dominant ones.
Yeah.
That's the good thing with them. I think they are the easiest ones to sell to.
Yeah. Well, at least you
Challenge
get
them.
you get your
So
outcome. Yeah.
You can play their ego. Say, okay, so you can't afford it, can you? Okay. All right. You see the hordes coming up. Oh, I can't afford it. All right. I'm going to just call a couple of buddies here that I know at the local bank. But I think the expressive ones, they are tricky. They are tricky.
Any tips to how to sell specifically to each personality type?
Well, the dominant ones, is it any good for me? I mean, they ask what questions. What is this? What good does it do for me? What can I gain from this? So you just give them the quickest, shortest version, task-based. Don't talk about feel you're gonna love it here. You're gonna feel so good. You're gonna feel so fulfilled.
Low on emotion.
Never mind that. They do. Yeah, quite boring. Move on. No, and you push them. You use as few words as possible. And I know you have some regulations to follow. I understand that you need to give them all the details and the information, but hand them, the folders. You can read it here. You have to sign that you have read it, but I'm not going to read it to you. Good, don't do that.
Yeah.
They can buy a car for 100,000 in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I like it. How much is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Deliver it to my house. The expressive ones, that's quite the opposite in a way, because here you have to use emotional arguments. Can you see yourself with your little kindergartners running around, bare feet on the grass? Can you see, oh, you have a dog. Oh, I love dogs. What kind of dog is it? Oh, it's a Newfoundland. Oh, I love Newfoundlands, even though you can't picture one in your head. What is it? Is that a dog? Is it a cat? Oh, I love those. Oh, fantastic. Which is actually, based on my experience, a little bit, don't take this the wrong way, guys. It's a little bit the American way, isn't it?
Yeah, sounds
enthusiastic,
like it.
Emotional, very expressive. That's how we perceive you here in the old world, in old Europe. We consider you excellent at this. We are a bit envious that you can do this so fantastically, because you show enthusiasm, it's energy. Even if you are an analytical one, you can probably play this role.
Yeah.
We can't, because we're just different, right? I don't know. I'm a bit envious to this sort of. But I think it's a cultural thing. I know that, but it's a sort of a skill too. To the stable ones, go very, very easy. Would you like to take a stroll just by yourself, or we can meet in the kitchen in 15 minutes? Oh, can we do that? That would be great. Thank you so much. Don't push them. They will ghost you even in the house. They are experts at not answering questions. Do you like it? Okay, so what was that? Did you like the bathroom? Yeah, it's kind of sort of. They do this all the time because they don't want to offend you. Right. I hated the wallpapers. It's an ugly tub, it stinks in there. They won't tell you. They say, it's fine, it's nice.
Yeah.
So you need to sort of see through this, and you have to take it really, really easy.
Yeah.
I mean, really easy, and they will never give you a straightforward answer. The first showing, never, probably.
It's true.
Depends on the combination. I would say, don't expect it.
Yeah,
they are in majority.
We were always taught that they were very family oriented. Would you agree with that?
Family oriented. They are definitely relation oriented, to say the least.
Yeah.
Family people. If the kids didn't like it, they won't buy it.
Yeah.
You have to sell to their kids as well, even though the kids might not be that type of individual. But if the kids say, I didn't like that real estate agent, then you're in trouble. It's actually not a joke, because they will pay attention to 5-year-olds when they buy their home. I think that's a stupid idea, but that's just my personal view. Don't tell anyone I said that, but I really mean it. So you have to really pay attention. Would you like to come again? We can arrange another showing of this house. When is it convenient? I could come by your old house now with some papers, over deliver on the service thing, and give them more than they have expected, which is actually not very hard to do, because they don't expect much from life at all. They are quite they have this sort of negative outlook also. They have this malign flow, as Hippocrates said.
I feel like you're targeting me specifically.
Kind of, sort of, no, but I'm not talking about you, KIRO. I'm talking about it's just a stereotype.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, they have this, I can't do this, I can't afford it. This sort of, there's no idea. I can't see no use in going there. They have this a bit of a negative attitude sometimes. So you need to help them and say, I understand your concern. Yes, I see. Yes, it is a lot of money. You're absolutely right. Let me analyze this for you. Let me have a check at the tables here and see what we can do. And you have to, never say, no, that's not true. Yes, I understand. I feel you there. Yes, I understand. Yes. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to agree, but you have to understand.
Yeah, don't make them wrong.
You know this. You've been doing this. If you say, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't like him.
Yeah.
And if they don't like you, they won't buy the house. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
So I was going to say, for stable, for amiable, would you say the question they care about the most is why? If it's all feeling based then?
No, I would say how.
Okay.
I would say how. The dominant ones, they ask what questions. The expressive ones, they ask who questions. Who are you and who am I and who's going to live here and who lived there before? Because they are so relation-oriented, people-oriented. I would say the amiable ones, they ask how questions. How will this be possible? How will I feel when I actually live here? How will my mother fit into that tiny little guest room, How I need to understand the process. What would it be like? The analytical ones, they ask the why question.
Yeah.
Why would I buy this? It's too much money. I don't have the analysis made when it comes to the cost, What about interest rates? Why is this a good idea? Why can't we stay where we live today? Their decision-making process is really, really long, I would say. Probably the longest, but the best way to sell is just go John style, and do what he does.
Data overload.
So the numbers and the details, and show them everything. Show them all the problems with the house. There's a leak here, and that door is creaking, and because they will find out anyway.
Right.
They consider you honest if you point out the problems in the house. That is actually not a joke either. People say, no, we have to sort of try not to talk about those things. Yeah, but they will see them because they pay attention to these things.
Yeah.
They found you very, very serious and very professional if you do before they see them.
So would you suggest that when we're asking these 4 styles, these questions, we should be using those types of questions, right? Like analyticals, we should be asking why questions, correct?
Answering why questions.
Well, maybe what I just mentioned now was how they usually phrase their questions. But you can just mirror them. The best way to go about is to mirror the other person, of course. I mean, if you can make them talk for 3 or 4 minutes, then you have the blueprint, I would say, if you just pay attention.
Sure.
If you don't get stuck in your own head, trying to figure out your next line, because that's the stupidest thing a seller can do. I've been there too myself. So if he just quits talking, I'm going to say the smart stuff I have to say. Now that's not usually
that's the worst thing to do. Yeah,
to do it. Well, that's the worst thing to do. We do it all the time because we sort of get stuck in our own heads. But don't pay attention. Ask a couple of open-ended questions and make mental notes.
Yeah,
do that.
One of the things
just
that
see if they use emotional arguments or if they use rational arguments. Then you have half of the population figured out.
Yeah.
Is it an extrovert? Is it an introvert? Is it an ambivert? Probably an ambivert. Yes, it's the word. Ends up with something else starting with ambi, but that's another course.
What's an ambivert, though?
An ambivert, it's somewhere between introvert and extrovert.
Okay, so there's in between.
If you have equally much, let's say, the dominant factor is equally strong as the analytical factor. They are actually just in between. That's an ambivert. I'm an ambivert myself.
One of the techniques our coach used to teach us was the night before the appointment. If I'm meeting with you, Thomas, tomorrow, I may call you the night before and say, Thomas, I'm calling just to confirm our appointment for tomorrow, 4:00. And I might ask you some questions just to make sure I'm, lining up the appointment. Will your wife or your partner be there as well? Are all decision makers going to be there? And then one question we were always trained to ask that really helps you determine ahead of time what their personality style may be is, would you please describe the home for me? This is if you're in a listing situation. I'm coming over tomorrow to potentially list your home. I'll ask you to please describe the home for me. And what we have found is just changed the playing field completely. Because of course, like we said before, the drivers will say, well, you're going to see it tomorrow. It's 1,000 square feet. It's two bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 car garage. What else do you need to know? The analyticals will say, it's bigger and larger, smaller
built in 1947,
Yes,
and
exactly.
and we built another 2 rooms in 1961. No, sorry, 1960, December, late.
That's exactly
It was
right.
my father. He told the story. Blah 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 blah.
I
blah.
think I have
And
the
then,
deed somewhere. Yes.
Exactly. What I usually tell people is, if you can't figure the other person out, go green, which means go at the stable ones, the opposite of the dominant ones, the amiable ones. Go there, act like one of those, meaning
Interesting.
shut your mouth and open your ears, because they are excellent listeners. They really have the listening down. They know it's a natural thing just to pay attention to people.
Thank you.
And just make people talk and listen and really, really pay attention. And they will give you the blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
If
it.
you just let them talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people say, but he doesn't say anything. There's nothing to analyze. He doesn't talk. Oh, there's a lot of things to analyze here. Probably analytical, right? Right.
Yeah.
He hardly answer any questions. He can't view me. He can't look me into the eyes. Yeah, probably analytical. Probably.
That's a good analysis.
Very good.
I want to walk you through our listing presentation, and I want you to give me your advice in terms of what could be changed or what could be enhanced, if you don't mind. Once you knock on the door, the couple answers. You see if they're greeting you, you greet them back. If they don't, you're there, you say, may I come in? And then once you walk in, you ask who wants to give the grand tour after you've introduced yourself. And at that point in time, you're identifying who the decision maker is, because usually the one person will be like, all right, come with me. And then you're like, all right, that's the decision maker. Or maybe someone will be like, hey, go walk them around. And then you know that the person that pointed was the decision maker. You do a walkthrough, you sit down and you ask a couple questions in the beginning. So you say, are you going to be selling the house? For sure, 100%. And are we pricing it to sell? And do you want me to handle the sale? So that's segment number 1. What's your feedback on that so far? Anything that you would change?
It sounds absolutely. I don't know if I have any feedback. I would add the following question: why did you buy this house in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
What made you move in here? Actually, what did you like about it? And why are you moving out now? With a friendly face and a polite smile and all of that. But they would tell you something that they haven't. I think the best technique to make people say stuff that is interesting is to make them say things they haven't planned to say. I
Interesting.
don't think they expect that question. Why did you buy it? And now you're selling. Why is that? Tell me the story.
Yeah.
Well, we really like the neighborhood or close to the schools and so on. Okay, they give you arguments because other people will see the same thing, obviously.
Yeah.
That would be what I would add in the first,
That's interesting.
That's
It's
genius.
almost like saying, like, sell me this house.
Well, no, it's you're understanding their buying personality too.
Right.
Because then they could be a one way, but then they could be like, I'm an amiable, but then I could be like, oh, well, it made a lot of sense for the money, price per square foot, XYZ. Then you know that my buying decision is based off of analytical, which would be really, really smart to do too.
Well, if it was about numbers.
Yeah, but it depends on
If
how
they say
go
we bought this house because it's near the school.
Yeah, then you know it's important for the kids, so they're probably amiable. But then that could be multitudes of things, unless they don't care about their kids, which I doubt. The other 3 personality styles.
Most people care about their kids.
Exactly.
so I would, but that was just an example. But it could be anything, and also you can put them on the list for people to call next time you have something else to sell to them, because now you know what they are looking for.
Sure.
You keep lists of all of these things, I guess. So register, yeah. Okay, so the next step, what was that?
So the next step after that is we go through questions that we ask them over the phone. So this is the part that I'm working on with my coach right now. So before I would have gotten on the appointment, I would have asked them where they're moving to, why they're moving there, and then how soon they have to be there. I would have asked them how much they want to sell the house for, what they owe on the property. And the last question I would have asked is, what are 3 things that they want me to make stand out in front of the other buyers? Now, when I'm reviewing those questions with them, I have to adapt to their personality style. So if I'm talking to an expressive, I'm saying, oh my God, aren't you excited to be closer to your mom in Florida? And then I'll let them talk. Then if the husband's analytical, I'll say, and you mentioned you wanted to list for 555,000. Approximately, you think that's the mortgage balance is maybe 120 in that range. So I would be talking to them in a more analytical way. That's the part that I'm working on the most in questioning or open-ended questions with those answers. So kind of being in their shoes. I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Beautiful thing.
I would probably do the same thing. At the end of this, I would add, what have I not asked you that I should have asked you?
That's always good.
What am I missing here? I'm just a simple, real estate agent. What am I missing? What did I forget to ask you?
Yeah.
Well, we could tell you this also. This might be of interest. The problem with checklists is they're good as sort of something to hold on to, but I think there's also a risk if you just follow a checklist. It gets to be a little bit mechanical, and people can actually, usually the amiable they will feel when you are just
inauthentic with it,
ticking off your checklist. It doesn't feel very natural, doesn't feel very, let's say, it's not very cozy. Okay, fourth question is alternative ABC. It's not very, I don't know. It's a bit sterile, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there is a risk, and I usually try to. I mean, the trick is usually, and I understand that you do that probably, but to try to make it as a conversation as much as possible.
Yeah.
To squeeze it to sneak it into a conversation all the time.
Yeah.
Asking follow-up questions, and by the way, now I come to think of it, and then you ask question number 4 on the agenda there. Oh, you said before this and that. How about that? That requires practice and training, of course. But mostly we are missing things because if it's not on the list, we're going to forget about it. What I do when it's big deals, I'm trying to bring in. I ask them, what have I missed? I'm sure it's something. What is it?
That's great.
Well, you could have paid some attention to this field here. And what about those? So don't you want to meet Department X over there? Duh. What is this? Are you serious? So I said, okay, yeah, you're right. I felt there was something missing.
Yeah. So many people will answer that differently too. Some people will take that as, oh, well, I forgot to show you the garage. And other people might say, oh, well, we didn't talk about commission. Some people will make it about numbers. Some people will make it about the contract. Some people will make it about the specific house or anything like that.
Yeah.
Some people will say, okay, you're the third guy here this week. Why will we go with you?
Sure.
Why will we choose you? Of all the agents out there, what's your USPs here? Maybe you didn't actually sell yourself to them if you're going to sort of list the house or something.
Right. I like that.
And sometimes, one thing that I also do very often is asking, what's your questions to me? What would you like to ask me? I'm sure you do that.
Yeah.
But, make it natural. Okay, what can I tell you so far? Now we are exactly here in the process. What do you need from me?
Sure.
How can I help you further on in this? Oh, well, there was thing we talked about yesterday, me and the wife, and it's this and that, and we're a bit curious or worried or something.
Yeah.
Some people in my business, they say you should ask about people's worries. I'm not sure that's a good idea, but sometimes if you think it's an introvert, meaning an analytical or an amiable one, then you should ask about their worries. Don't do that to the expressive type because they don't worry. They would say, don't be negative, life's short, live a little. And the dominant ones just shut up. None of your business.
They'll be out the door before
the amiable. Yeah, but the introverts, they are worried. If you try to sort of learn out what the worries is, it could be a good idea. It could also have a negative effect on the conversation. So it's sort of it's not crystal clear if it's a good idea. You have to sort of feel the context, feel the atmosphere in the room or in the phone call, if possible. But it could be something that proves that you are really interested in them and their situation.
That's
to
great.
Ask about worries. Again, it's not 100% useful all the time.
Yeah.
But if you do it in a smart way, it could help you a lot.
Yeah. When you say ask about worries, do you mean to label like the emotion of like any of those negative emotions they might feel? For example, if someone seems fearful to make a decision or worried about it, you could say something like, well, it seems like this is concerning to you. Just to understand a little bit more, is that what you would mean by that?
I think that's too leading, too directing. This looks like a worry to you. I didn't say that.
Right.
You know, like the analytical guy frowning his face like this. This is
Maybe a
this good or
thinking
bad
face?
news? It depends on who it is. I mean, if it's a dominant person, now you're in trouble. He's mad. But if it's an analytical guy, he is actually focused and very concentrated. He's listening, paying attention. And if you, let's say, interpret this as a worry, and you say, "Okay, I see your worry here." No, I'm focused. I'm doing the math in my head. You know,
Right.
you could irritate them. I think it's better to ask them, "What are your worries?
Right.
Do you have worries? What are those?"
Yeah.
Let them talk. Again, let them express themselves instead of saying, "It feels like this is a worry for you. I think you're worrying about this and that." Well, maybe not. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you're right.
Well, it
I
it
think it's
helps
better to
pull
say,
out
"What worries
pull
do
out
you
their
have?"
objections, right? They may say,
Yeah, I mean, I think be straightforward. This is a big deal. It's a lot of money. It's going to affect your life maybe the next, I don't know, 25 years. What do I know? Of course, you have some worries. Let's talk about those.
yeah, I like that.
I think it's an honest way of doing it, actually.
Yeah. No, that's
I
pretty
think
solid.
that will encourage people to say things, you know, because a lot of times sellers will not sign with you because they think maybe the price you're suggesting is lower than somebody
won't say
they could
anything,
meet
yeah.
with tomorrow, right? So if we sign with you today, then, you know, it may be too low. You know, we're worried about that. And then that gives you an opportunity to handle that objection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's solid.
Exactly.
Great.
I don't know who wrote I think it was Socrates who said, to be understood, you have to first seek to understand. And then Tony Robbins wrote, you have to, if you want to motivate someone, you have to understand what's motivating them first. And it goes back to really all this. So you have to understand everything, like how they operate and how they're thinking to be able to get that done. Grateful that you wrote the book.
Very true. Very well.
Yes.
And grateful that all those publishers in your area were idiots and that you were the genius.
You showed
That's
them.
great. Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really do appreciate, especially knowing that, of course, it's in the evening hours where you are.
No worries. I enjoy this a lot.
Well, we had fun, and I think the people who watch this will certainly appreciate it as well.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to connect with you, collaborate with you, or engage, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Well, you find me on all social media, close to all social media, but you can go to surroundedbyidiots.com, and there you find everything you need.
Great.
That would be the best advice.
All right.
If you read my books or seen a talk or something, you know, give me a heads up or send me some feedback. I love feedback. I'm a willing learner. I do know I have a lot to learn still. So
Great.
please reach
Awesome.
out.